Be honest, that's too much, right? Hello and welcome to another Views and Reviews. So without further ado and without the hat, let's go with it. It's been a curious couple of weeks. Had I done one of these last week, I think I would have had a full-blown rant about Donald Trump again, and how he's been distracting from much of the good, bad and ugly things other than him that are going on in the world at the moment. But now more focus is on stuff like the Olympics and that, so which is now ended, and there's all this positivity about how great sports people are and yada yada yada, and it's great. It's great that the a lot of the fears and the worry about Rio kind of were shifted from all the negative to positive. That being said, I still think there's negatives that were not quite focused on for obvious reasons, because all the kind of facts might get in the way with all the medal table stuff. That being said, me talking about the Olympics is not exactly within my comfort zone. You know, my best sporting achievement is probably on Daley Thompson's athletics on the old Commodore 64. Meanwhile, Trump and all his stuff has kind of gone away, which is nice. The orange skin sack of hate. And I'm starting to believe that while Clinton isn't probably the ideal candidate, at least she's preferable to him, which isn't really saying too much, but again, me in American politics, you know. You'll see later on in the review section, I'm going to be focusing on something slightly different from the usual DVDs and cinema releases. At the start of this year, I kind of decided to focus some of my free time, for lack of a better word, to experience more live theatre. I'm part of a small and perfectly formed, lovely drama group myself, and have written for them. And it was, aside from a few pantos and the odd bit of kind of amdram I've witnessed, I haven't seen kind of proper theatre. So I've become somewhat of a culture canary the last sort of 6 or 7 months, and just trying to devour as much, not just from the West End, but from the surrounding area as well. And it's been a very enlightening experience, especially because, I mean, I know from being, you know, on stage myself, that it is a very weird experience to be part of, but even to experience it from the audience point of view, there's nothing quite like it. I mean, while the cinema is one thing, and it can be a shared experience where you're all laughing, crying, jumping at your seats in unison, there's just to be the energy from actual people being there, performing these roles, in some instances getting, you know, spat upon by them, which is interesting. So I've really enjoyed many shows, and I feel quite bad in that I've not been a vocal advocate either on my blog or on this channel, to say how many great shows I've seen, because again, unlike film, the theatre experience can be a very finite thing, unless obviously you're a certain Agatha Christie murder mystery that's been going on for quite a few years, but most of them only last sort of 3 months at the very most, and that's assuming they've been successful. I think the point I'm trying to get towards is, while film and TV and DVDs are great, I think actually getting off your bum, going to a theatre, be it a local one or one in your local kind of theatre district, yes, it can be expensive, but if you're canny and Scottish always helps to look for a decent bargain. You might not always get the best seat in the house, but you'll get a seat and you'll be able to see and hear everything that's going on. So with that in mind, on to the reviews. Running to just before the end of August is Rotterdam. Playing at the Trafalgar Studios in London until the end of August is John Britton's Rotterdam. This is a story about Alice, who's been living in Rotterdam for the last 7 years with her girlfriend. And just before New Year's, she's about to come out to her parents via the power of email. But before she has a chance to hit send, her girlfriend tells her that she's identified as being a boy or man and has decided to make the change to be a man on the outside. While that doesn't sound an immediate laugh riot, there is something absolutely beautiful and, for me anyway, unique about Rotterdam. How funny, intelligent and passionate it is, with just 4 characters. The main couple plus a Danish co-worker and Alice's former partner, and set within the very small confines of the lovely Trafalgar Studios 2 stage. We watch the sort of their lives unfold over a course of a couple of months, and without going into too much detail about the plot, it's funny. It's the sort of show that gets you from the instant, as people walking in to sit down, putting aside their drink and the books. The cast are already on stage, sort of miming a kind of their usual routine around their flats, while a brilliant soundtrack is playing in the background. And with each change of track, we have a transition in the characters. And so before the first scene is actually played, we've already got an idea of who these people are, and it's down to the casting, down to the direction, down to a very tightly written script that your loyalties and your who you identify with shifts, and who you're rooting for shifts around, and there's a reality to it, even though there are some ridiculous moments that are pure theatre. I've seen it twice, and I would probably happily go and see it a third time, because I've enjoyed it that much that I think if there is a better show that I see in the next 4 months, I'll be very surprised but quite pleased, because Rotterdam's bloody good. Out on DVD now is A Dozen Summers. It's written and directed by Kenton Hall, who co-stars alongside his twin daughters. It's a very unusual British family film, in that within the first couple of minutes which it starts out as a rather twee modern fairy tale narrated by Colin Baker. It is quickly hijacked by the twins and turned into their film about their lives as being these awkward 12-year-olds in a modern world where parents are divorced or separated, where kids think calling someone gay is an acceptable derogatory term. With all the kind of the tightly polished, sugar-coated, saccharine Disney type fare that often clutters up the multiplexes, there's something really nice and rough around the edges about A Dozen Summers. It felt more like a children's film foundation film from back when I grew up, starred the likes of Keith Chegwin, and they're all kind of non-professional actors, and I think there's quite a few non-professional actors in here, and there isn't that kind of drama school about them. There's a very natural manner to them, and Kenton Hall's sort of script and his direction is very just gentle, and it just lets the story flow, and the girls themselves are brilliant. In just they're twins, but they're not alike at all. They're almost kind of like yin and yang. And I always like to talk about these sort of films because they don't get the attention that all the big blockbusters do, and it's down to us little people, or not so little people, to wave the flag and shout from the rooftops of social media that these films exist, and if you want something that's a little bit different, then Dozen Summers is definitely very different. Hey, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at MySoCalledBrain. I've also got a Facebook page. There'll be a link to my blog below in the description. There will also be links to the reviews of both Rotterdam and A Dozen Summers. There's also an interview I had over the phone with one of the co-stars of A Dozen Summers, Ewan McIntosh, so you can listen to that for even more ums and ahs from my behalf. Thank you for watching, and until next time, laters.